Hi, Cruise Industries. Oh, you need an airbag for your car? Oh, it's a 70 C10. What kind of airbag is it? Yeah, you've got a couple choices. Somehow people think there's only a couple choices for airbags out there, and clearly as you can see here, that is not the case. And if you can believe it or not, this isn't even all of them. All right, I'm gonna attempt to go through all of these one airbag at a time and kind of talk about, I'm just gonna free flow because there's just way too much. There's way too much to talk about, way too much to talk about. Let's just go through it. All right, so we're gonna break this down into your standard, I mean, it's just, there's so many airbags. There's so many airbags, and I am clearly frustrated in people thinking there's only one or two available, and that is not the case. So here we go, uncensored, maybe a couple quick zoom cuts or something, I don't know, but I'm going totally raw on this. Where do we begin? Okay, let's begin. I was starting to talk about 2600s. Okay, 2600 is the most common airbag you're gonna see. This is a Conatec 2600 bag. This is a 7-inch diameter bag. You also have a Slam Specialties 7-inch diameter bag. And wait, there's more. You also have Airlift Dominator 2,600 pound bag. The only thing these things have in common is their diameter, and on top of the bag is going to be a bolt spread. This spread is going to be typically the same on all 2600s. Now the bottom of the bag is always going to have a center bolt, sometimes 2 wide bolts only, which I believe, nope, Conatec has 3, and Airlift. Oh, well, back in the day they would switch them up. Sometimes they'd have 1 on the bottom or 2, but it looks like they took care of that issue. So 2,600 pound bags, these are typically going to be seen on the front of a car with a V8. Sometimes you'll see them on the back of a truck directly over the rear. The reason why they're called 2,600 is that is the weight rating of the airbag. There are a larger bag that is an 8 diameter bag that's 8 inches wide. There's a Conatec 3800. There is a Slam Specialties 8. I just don't have them here. Those are great for over the axle if you're towing. Just allows less PSI to lift more weight. So that's where you're going to see these in applications. These are the brands we use. Slam is our go-to. Airlift is a go-to. Conatec is kind of outdated. They're hard to get a hold of, but you still see them out there running strong. They've always been a good quality bag. Moving on to the next most common, let's talk about 2500s. So this is a Conatec 2500, Slam Specialties 2500, and I know I have one here, Airlift 2500. There it is. Cool. Here's 3 2500 series airbags. Now these are all 2500 series because they are 6 inches in diameter. And as you can see on these, the difference is Conatec actually has studs built into the top, and these just have a countersunk 3/8 hole for a bolt. Let's see the bottom. We got 1 hole in the bottom of this, and see, this one's got 3. This one only has 1. So sometimes you can't just unbolt one bag and put in another. This is where you start to see compatibility issues. Just because you have a bag and it's 6 inches wide doesn't mean you should run an Airlift with a Conatec or a Slam with a Conatec. You want your bags to match as far as left to right. Front to back doesn't matter, but left to right you definitely want those to match. Again, these are brands we love using. Slam Specialties is our go-to, USA made. Airlift is our next, and then Conatec, it's been around forever. They're kind of getting harder to get. I don't really know what's going on with Conatec. I think there's a back order issue maybe. I don't know, but all 3 great brands. If you don't see these brands on your vehicle, I highly suggest remove them immediately. Go to something else. Okay, and then we're gonna go to, let's go to something else that's kind of, for us, common, is the tapered sleeve bag. I don't have one here. There's also Firestone, which is the 9000 bag. Typical to this. These bags, they run long, they go up pretty high, but these are very soft bag, meaning it's going to take less pressure to collapse these. These are great for the back of small pickups and even full-size pickup trucks. You can still tow with them. You're not going to have the capacity of, say, a 2600 on the back, but a 2600 is going to run firmer than a TS6 or a 9000 taper style bag. That's why we usually use these on the back of trucks that are going to be cruised. So like we've got an Apache here, we've got a square body here that both have these TS bags on the back, and they ride so great. The benefit of the TS6 over the 9000 Firestone, these are going to lift a little bit more, and they're USA made. They're not overseas, so we like using USA made stuff. And yeah, so these are tapered sleeve bags, another choice that's out there. And then let's get into, okay, let's go to something, well, this bag I would have put in there with the 2500s, but it's kind of its own bag. I know Universal may say something a little differently, but I kind of see this as a in-between. This is a 2500 series bag because it's 6 inches wide. But as you can see, compared to like this bag really lifts a lot, and it kind of, I don't know, you see them on the back of Impalas, Cadillacs, things like that usually. It's kind of I don't know, it's kind of got its own purpose. So this is kind of a strange one in there. I've seen them used quite a bit. A lot of people swear by Universal, and they'll just use these comboed with another bag I love using, which is the, where are you? Well, we'll pull one up here. I got one on the ground here. A Universal Airhouse 2. So this is kind of, to me, like a hybrid, because we can get away with these on V8 cars. So on the front of C10s, G bodies. Sometimes you can, I mean, people use them on Impalas all the time. There's no point for us. You can use them. But they're a little bit of a cheat code because they're a smaller diameter. They do have a good force rating, so they will raise your car without having to put some crazy amount of PSI in the front to raise that heavy motor. And they're smaller diameters, so you don't usually have to cut the pocket as much. But to me, and what I've seen over the years, I prefer to stick in a 2600 in there, which is clearly larger. So I like putting these on the front of V8 cars, or even the Slam 7. So that bag, and as you can see, this bag's much larger. This bag's a lot smaller. This can get away with what this bag can do on the front, but this has more diameter. More diameter just means it's going to handle more weight, which means lower PSI will raise the car. So say, quick example, if I put 80 PSI in the front of the car with this bag, it's going to lock all the way up. If I put 80 PSI in the front of this, it is not going to lock all the way up. It's going to take some more PSI to get it up. But however, they'll both do the job. I just think this one does it better, a little softer. I don't know. They're both good. They're both great. Again, you got choices. So moving on to, yeah, the Airhouse 2. So Airhouse 2, another thing we like to use it for is it collapses low. So we use them on the back of like trailing arm setups on cars. We work a lot together with JG Designs. JG Designs uses these on the front of their kits and the rear of their kits. They're very small. Like the collapse size is only, I think, 2 inches high, versus like any of these other bags, like a 2500 or a 2600. These collapse to about 2.8, and 3/4 of an inch could equal a difference of being on the ground and not on the ground. So these are great for those situations. And then if you really get in a pinch, you can go down to, I think this is, yeah, this is one of the minis. So the Airhouse Mini, and this is similar to this, just smaller. Again, it's going to take more PSI to raise the car, but if you're in a pinch and you have no choice, this will get you out of a pinch. It'll get you where you want to go. And then this little tiny sucker, I've personally never used, but I believe this is good on like import cars, like on a rear trailing arm or something. You can stick one of those things in there. And then Slam Specialties also has a small bag. This is their 5-inch diameter bag. So it's kind of similar to an Airhouse 2. It's just not going to collapse as much, and it's not going to lift as much, I believe. But has its own purpose. 5-inch bag could be good in something. And then we go to, we'll go to the strut bags. So these are strut bags. So this bag looks normal from the front. However, there's a hole through the middle of it, and I'll show you the cutaway here. So you can bolt these onto a McPherson style strut. So you take your spring off, you put a bracket on there, and that'll bolt, and then the stud will come up through here with a plate in your top hat. And you can add airbags to a McPherson style strut. So you'll see these commonly on things like Dodge Chargers is a common thing, any of those Chrysler cars. You run one of these in the front, and they're great, and we use them a lot on a lot of things. You also have a choice to go a little bigger, and you can go powerhouse. So it's the same thing, just again, more diameter. That's going to lift the vehicle easier with lower PSI, and it can handle things with big V8 motors. I mean, that clearly can handle a Charger and stuff with a V8, but this is more like Silverado, I believe you can use these on. So these are great for that purpose. And then we have the double play. I know we talked about this one already, but you leave it to Universal Air. They turn these suckers into a strut bag. So I've actually seen these on their side-by-side demo, and I'm sure there's plenty of other struts that these can be used on, but I have seen them used in the off-road world. And what else do we have up here? I think that's just a full Aero Sport. And that's kind of it for what we typically use here. There are a few things missing. You're gonna see other brands out there, and I don't trust them. We have a graveyard of old bags that have just failed for mysterious reasons. The reason why an airbag should fail is either it's been poorly installed and it's rubbed on something and it's put a hole in it, and if it's failing for any other reason, it's just poor quality bags. And you shouldn't be paying less than $90 for one airbag. And I've seen it on eBay. You can buy two for 60, 70 bucks, and those are awful. They won't lift as much. The characteristics are wrong. I mean, your car is going to go up and down. Sure, it's going to work. But for us, we like to stick to stuff we trust. This is kind of who we trust here. We love using Slam. We love using Airlift. And we love using Universal Air. And Conatec is kind of, to me, like a heritage brand. They've just been around forever. Firestone's also been around forever. We don't use the Firestone stuff. It's just not good for air suspension. It works, but it's not great. There's just better options for the price. The Firestone stuff's great for tow bag systems, but just for the characteristics of air ride, it just doesn't work. With what we have available with these Slam bags and these Universal bags and the Airlift bags, they just all outperform them. And it's just not worth buying that cheaper stuff, man. So as you can see, there's a lot of different choices. The most important part of this video is I get phone calls and someone says, hey man, I have an airbag on my car. I need a replacement. Do you have one? Well, I don't know. Like, what is it? What brand is it? There's plenty of brands out there. And if it's one of the brands we trust, we're going to have it in stock. If it's something we don't trust, it's going to be here, but it's probably going to be in the graveyard, blown and broken and no good. So clearly, there's not just two airbags out there available. There are many choices available as far as series and brand. So if you're looking for a replacement, just find out what kind of brand is it and measure the width of it. Or it's really helpful just to take a picture and send it to me, and I can usually identify it. And we typically have replacements in stock. If we don't, it's because you've got a questionable brand. If you're not paying more than $90 for an airbag, just avoid that stuff. Your car's gonna go up and down, but I wouldn't trust my life with it. I wouldn't put my family in that car with me. I would avoid that stuff. It's not worth saving $10, $20. Just spend the extra money, get what you need that's gonna be safe and perform the way you want. If you need help with trying to find a bag for your next project or need replacements, hit me up. I'm always here to help you guys.